敬礼，传承
First,
祖师。
let's pay homage to the lineage gurus.
敬礼，了明和尚。
Homage to the venerable Mang Liao Ming.
敬礼，萨迦真空上师。
Homage to Master Sakya Zengkong.
敬礼，16世大巴华王卡玛巴。
Homage to His Holiness the 16th
敬礼
Karmapa.
图登达尔吉上师。
And homage to Master Dupten Darji.
我们敬礼坛城三宝。
Let's pay homage to the three jewels of the altar.
还有敬礼今天
And
父母的子
homage
孙。
to the main deity of the Homa
至
today.
上的天萨拉萨蒂。
To the Supreme Heavenly Mother Saraswati.
师母图登西蒂仁波切。
Simu Duten Siddhi
各位上
Rinpoche.
师、教授师、
All
法师、
Dharma Masters,
讲师、助教
Dharma Educators, Dharma Teachers,
及
Dharma
各位
Lecturers, Dharma Assistants,
还有网络上的
Directors of
同门。
temples and chapters, all disciples present here and over the internet.
今天我们议会的贵宾是
And
台
our
湾省
participating
政
VIPs
府
today
秘书
are
长
the Chief
郑
Secretary of
培
the
福先
Taiwan
生及夫人
government,
韩务珍女士，
Mr. Zheng Peifu and Madam,
中央研究院院士
and the academician from Academia Sinica of Taiwan,
陈文文女士，
the Professor Zhu Siyi and Madam,
生活中法律顾问周
the law
慧芳
advisor to
律师
Jupiter School,
卢文
Dharma
祥律
Sister
师，
Jennifer Zhou and Mr. Lu Wenxiang,
生活中博士教授团
Jupiter School
及
Scholars Group and
医护
Medical
团
Group,
全体成员。敬以企业公司总经理张怡珍女士，
the General Manager of the Jingyi Enterprise, Ms. Zhang Yizhen,
台南市议会蔡望全议员
and
代
the
表，
rep to the Council of Tainan City,
木雕艺术家简正新先生，
and the wood sculptor, Mr. Jian,
My University same classmate 朱金水先生及夫人陈泽霞女士，
Mr. Zhu Jincui and Madam,
华光功德会总会长及大圆满九次第喜金刚讲义及密宗道次第广论，
the President of the Worldwide Lotus Light Charity Society and producers for the Great Perfection Dharma Heritage Exposition and Development Stages of Tantrayana,
佩君
Master
师
Lian
姐，
Yue, and the host Dharma Sister Peijun,
道果严结晶主持人
host to
莲海
Lamdre
上
and the
师
Sutra of Perfect Enlightenment, Master Lian Hai,
中天电视台给你点上
producers
心灯
for
制
the
作
Kini
人
Tian Sang
徐
Xing
雅琪
Illuminating Your Heart from CTI TV Taiwan, Dharma Sister Rebecca Shiachi,
My sister 卢胜美女士
Miss Lu Seng Mei,
，My sister 卢国英女士 ，and the
Miss Lu
husband。
Guoying and her husband.
感谢香港张定
And
锦
thank
师
you
兄
to
打斋10万元，
Dharma brother Zhang Dingjing from Hong Kong for his donation of 100,000 NT dollars.
香港，我这个字怎么念？
How do you pronounce this character?
一个是巧玲女士，打斋10万元，她的
Miss
姓，
Chao Ling from Hong Kong for her donation
她的姓怎么
100,000
念？
NT
一
dollars.
个
How do you
这一
pronounce?
个广
her
东
family
的
name
上面那个那个广字，但递一下。于
Yu,
于哦于巧玲女士，打斋10万元。
Miss Yu Qiaoling,
印尼马浪莲花 引会师姐大
And
斋10
from
万元。
Malang, Indonesia, Dharma Sister In Hui for a donation of 100,000 NT dollars.
我那个圣美，我的朋友呢？他在哪里？
Sung Mei, where's my friend? Where is
你没
she?
有带他在旁边坐？
Why didn't you have her sit next to you?
歌雪好，她是我高中的女朋友。
This is my girlfriend from high school.
真的大家一起老。
We age together.
你有没有站起来？
Did you stand up?
对了，给大家。
Please show everybody.
上我这歌学，我们是在第一次见面是在高雄的。
We first met
应该是体育馆吧，
at the stadium in Kaohsiung.
那时候在开一个这个高清文萃，那时候救国团有办一个杂志，叫做
There was a
高清文
magazine
萃。
that's
那
called
我
the
们都是
Kaohsiung Youth
我是高清文萃的这个
magazine,
一个编
and
辑，一个
I
总编
was
一
a
个
chief
总编
editor
那么
of the
他是
magazine,
也是高清文萃里面，从此以后就认识。
and she was also there,
歌学你跑哪里去了？
and we met there.
对。你们较大方对不？咱大方伊嘛大方，大家一起都是一样。那是高中的时
We
候，
were
我在救国
all
团
the
认识
same.
的时候。
So I recognized, I met her in
然后
Kaohsiung,
呢，我们有交往，认识，就有交往。
and after we met
我
each
曾
other,
经骑
we
着脚踏车
dated,
载她，骑脚踏
and
车
I
载她
rode a bicycle
我不会载后面
carrying
载前
her
面
in front of me, not
很
behind
久
me.
了，
That was
60
long
年
ago, 60
60
years.
年没有见面。
We haven't met each other for
60
60
年没有见面。
years.
欢迎你来哦，欢迎你
Welcome.
来。还有一位是小学的女朋友，
And there was a girlfriend
小学
from
女朋友，
elementary school.
阿心啦，这个我妹妹知道，我妹妹是圣美，阿碧，
My
高纯
sister
心，
Sung Mei knew.
高
Her
纯
name
心
is
是我
Gao
小
Chong
学的时
Xin.
候的小学的女朋友，
She was a girlfriend
小学
from
的女朋友，她
elementary
不敢
school.
来啊，
She didn't dare to
你可以叫
come.
她来啊，
You can ask her to come.
她信基督教。
She's a Christian.
不要紧啦，我买
But it's okay.
耶稣基督的故事啊，我可以讲耶稣基督的。
I can talk
她是
about
长老会的。
Jesus Christ too.
对呀，我是为
She
我是
belonged to
为了
the
高纯心，然后信
Presbyterian
信基督教
Church because I followed Christianity because of her.
我还是这个主日学老师，基督教长老会。
You know,
高
in
雄
high
新
school,
兴基督教长
I
老会，
was a
我是那个
Bible study
主
teacher
日学的老师，而且
a
是
Sunday
查
school
经班的老
teacher
师。那
of
时候
the
还参加那个圣歌队
Presbyterian
献寡
church,
读
and I also joined the choir.
觉得人生很奇妙。 你什么时候要遭遇到什么事情？
You know, life is amazing. Whatever you encounter seems to be fated destiny.
如果这个阿心来的话，高存心来的话
If Asim or Gao Chun Xin comes here,
我会唱一条圣歌给他听。
I will sing a choir.
哈利路亚，请北上。哈利路亚，哈利路亚，请北上。这条歌我以前会唱。哈利路亚，请北上。那歌写人呢？好像我们没有一起唱歌。不过也都是很好的朋友。一直到了我。
But this miss, we haven't sang together, but we were good friends all the way to when I was in the college for survey engineering. We were still in correspondence, and I even introduced a friend to Kashian, to this lady. And that friend was a classmate from the survey engineering school.
这个都是过去的事情。
This is all from the past.
这个讲这个大家午安，大家好。
I haven't said my greetings.
大家午安，大家好。你好，大家好。唔該晒啊。 萨瓦迪卡，감사합니다。너무 konnichiwa。Good afternoon。Merci beaucoup。Deutsch。Hola amigo, te quiero mucho。那今天呢，刚好。
Today,
是讲到妙音天女。
we talk about Saraswati, the goddess with marvelous voice or sound. Saraswati has a great origin. All deities we have here are great. Hinduism started in India. Came from India, and the primary deities, as we all know, are Vishnu. Vishnu from the all-encompassing purity heaven, or the Vishnu heaven. And Vishnu is Mahaswara, or the heavens of great self-mastery. And Brahma came from the Brahma heaven. So in Hinduism, the three greatest gods are Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva. The creator is Brahma, who created the whole universe. That's according to Hinduism. And Vishnu is the protector of the universe and all things in it. And Shiva is the destroyer, Mahaswara, who destroyed the whole universe. So one who creates, one who protects, and one who destroys. That's the philosophy of Hinduism, a great philosophy. So the three great gods of Hinduism are Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva. And the son of Shiva is Ganesh. And after being spread to Tibet, it became Ganapati. Ganapati is Ganesh, which is the god with elephant head. And of them there is the supreme goddess or heavenly mother, and that was Saraswati, the supreme, the topmost goddess. So that's why when I prayed earlier, I called upon Saraswati. And Saraswati is the heavenly mother with marvelous sound. So this deity is one of the 5 great gods of Hinduism. And only Saraswati is female. So she's also referred as the Supreme Heavenly Mother. And in Tantrayana, she was once a consort of Amitabha Buddha. Also a consort of Manjushri Bodhisattva. And the consort of Yamantaka Heruka. Saraswati, yes. So isn't she great? Yes. So Saraswati encompasses everything. In Hinduism, this is truly sacred. The Supreme Goddess. Many people pray to her and receive responses. And in Tantric Buddhism, she is referred by many names. And the Buddha once mentioned her in the Golden Light Supreme King Sutra. She is also referred there as the goddess of eloquence, the Heavenly Mother with marvelous sound, the goddess with beautiful voice, and the goddess with great wisdom, and the goddess with gifts and talents. And she can be eloquent without hindrances. And in order to achieve that, you have to have the marvelous wisdom. And she has beautiful voice. And she's also the goddess of gifts and talents. And it is mentioned in the Golden Light Sutra. If one recites the Golden Light Sutra, it is certain that Saraswati will come and bless him or her. So Saraswati is truly incredible. In Tantrayana, at the back, Tibetans, they sent 2 people to go to India to seek Buddha Dharma. One is called Taro and the other one is called Drokmi. And the Drokmi Losawa later on, Taro stayed in India and then returned to Tibet. But Drokmi, after learning from many teachers and returned to Tibet. So Drokmi Lotsawa was Drokmi the translator, or was also referred as Sakya Yese, was a truly marvelous guru in Tibet. And the deity that he first attained spiritual union with was Lord Saraswati. So in the biography of Drokmi Lotsawa, it was mentioned that Saraswati was his first yidam of Drokmi Lotsawa. And after having the Saraswati, he went to India to study lots of Tantric Dharma in India. And he is a great Mahasiddha of the time. And his heart seal and the most important seal or decree that he always keeps in his heart is Virupa, the founder of Lamdre, or the author of Lamdre. So they are all interrelated. So Grandmaster today talks or teaches Lamdre. It all came from Virupa. Came from Virupa. And then he studied Virupa from Virupa and studied and practiced Lamdre until attainment. That was Drokmi Lotsawa. And Drokmi Lotsawa's first yidam was Saraswati. So Saraswati is truly remarkable. Of all of our masters, one of them was an emanation of Saraswati. One of our masters. Do you know who? You don't know? Do you know? That's Master Lian Miao. So Master Lian Miao has great artistic talents. She learned to play guzheng, yangqin, that's a lute instruments of classical Chinese music. And she's also good at paintings. Her paintings definitely cannot be understood. If you can understand the painting, then there's no need to paint. You can just take picture. Her paintings cannot be understood even by Grandmaster. However, her play of the ink and colors and her mastery and power of creation is quite incredible. And we also have an artist here, the wood sculptor, Mr. 简真心。
要知道吗？简正新先生的女儿。
Do you know that Mr. Jian's daughter?
在哪里
Where is she?
好，欢迎你。我不知道你的名字，但是我知道你是妙音佛母。
I don't know your name, but I know that you are also a manifestation of Saraswati.
妙音佛母，妙音佛母有很多化身。
So Saraswati has many emanations, but Master Lian Miao developed Saraswati's pen or brush to the great extent. And Mr. Jian's daughter, what's her name?
简良义，
简良义，
对，姑娘的良，义配的义。
良义，
简良义，很好，请坐啊，请坐。
Please be seated.
啊，他也是有艺术天分的，他也有艺术
She's
天分。
also talented.
这个莲妙上师啊，已经发挥的
And Master Lian Miao
他的才艺。 啊，像音乐啊、美术啊，这方面的才艺啊，另外还有他的辩才啊，
extended
他
her
的智慧啊，
artistic
他的毛笔字，
talents
写得非常的好，
and also her eloquence
真的是
and also her calligraphy.
神农之笔啊，像龙飞。
She had exhibited her talents beautifully, like the calligraphy, like from the ancient masters, and also the blending of all the colors. And she just does it naturally, and it became beautiful paintings. And all the famous and important figures would like to have her paintings. And she is a disciple of Yang Sangsen, which is a great master painter of the Lingnan school.
他现在还是很年轻呐，还是很有作为，将来能够
And she's still young.
的发挥。
And she's still very active, so she can continue to exhibit and develop her abilities.
游人神鼓在表演的时候，后面的幕
And the other day, when they had a performance by the Yuren Sengu, the drums group, and all the fresco or at the back of the stage, they were all paintings created by Master Lian Miao. And also Dharma Sister Jian can walk this path of artistry, and in the future she will also attain big success. Have big success. And Saraswati also bestowed a pen to Grandmaster. And this pen, it's difficult to put into words. As soon as I pick up the pen, I would recite this mantra. With one line, it's a river, and two becomes a river, and with 3 and 4 lines becomes a well. This pen is not ordinary. It is the pen of Saraswati. Pointing to the heavens will be clear. Pointing to the earth will be responsive. Pointing to the people will live long life. And pointing to the ghosts will disappear. And pointing to the sickness will vanish. Zhang Tiansi, before attaining this Tiansi, he also had a pen. And the pen was at the Lushan or Mount Lu. That's why the pen was referred as the pen of the scholar of Mount Lu. With one draw, it's a stream, and two draws, it's a river, and 3 and 4th lines becomes a well. Pointing to the heavens is clear. Pointing to the earth is responsive. Pointing to the person has a long life. And then pointing to the ghost will disappear. So when the scholar was about to have attainments, there are many demons coming to him. And then he threw the pen to the ghost. And all the ghosts have their hearts pierced with the pen, and all the ghosts died. And Grandmaster has this pen too. And this pen is called the pen of the scholar from Mount Lu. And that's also the pen of Saraswati. See how great Saraswati is. And Saraswati gave you a pen. If she gives you a pen, then you can write lots of articles. And it is incessant, it's continuous. There are many Mahasiddhas in Tantric Buddhism. I don't dare to say that no one before and no one after would be like Grandmaster, because there will always be a mountain higher. There will always be someone stronger. Although I'm considered to be remarkable in writing, but I cannot say that there will not be someone like me. There would be many Mahasiddhas in the future that would appear in True Buddha School. But Grandmaster, as a guru, the most important thing is that you can pray to your utmost consciousness. Not only pray, but you can merge with your utmost consciousness, and you can be in union with your utmost consciousness. And your spiritual state is the spiritual state of the utmost consciousness, and that your spiritual state is boundless but not narrow-minded. So how is this utmost consciousness? It's everlasting. and it is omnipresent. Every single person has the utmost consciousness within us. And if you can be in union with your utmost consciousness, then you would be a true Siddha, and it is boundless. And at this time, there is no birth, no death. You already understand that there is no birth and no death. And at the same time, you also understand what is permanence and what is the boundless and limitless. What is the boundless and limitless heart? Only those with the boundless and limitless heart can be in union and merging with the utmost consciousness. If you have just even a little bit of egoism, of ego, of selfishness, of greed, of ignorance, then it would be impossible for you to merge with the utmost consciousness. So that's why in our spiritual cultivation today, we seek permanence, boundless and limitless, and also to seek the utmost bliss. This is not something that can be bought with money or with materials. So that's why I said that materialistic world is limited, but the spiritual world is limitless. So Saraswati is the Supreme Heavenly Mother. So once you gain spiritual union with her, that your heart would also be boundless. And things that you paint with the wave of the brush or with the sound, then you would be able to merge with the utmost consciousness. Please remember this. Om. This is the original sound of the universe. It's the most marvelous, the original innate primordial sound of the utmost consciousness. With this sound, you enter into samadhi and merge with the utmost consciousness. And this is the highest kind of the pith instruction. Now let me continue on Lamdre by Virupa. It mentioned here about the innate realization of appearances. The three innate realizations primarily rise from the realms that it rises to non-discernment, and the Dharma are considered as the body mandala that are relied on by visualizations, and also the mandala of the appearances of the deities from the last thought of the Vajra palaces, and especially the red bright light that are moving at the third eye, and also dwelling at the mind and heart that are tightness and looseness are just right, and this lucid appearances, and the lucid appearance is also broken swiftly, or without lucid experiences and also broken swiftly, and you practice accordingly. And by concentrating on the third eye can eliminate ignorance, and by maintaining this lucidity, it is called the existential dharma of transforming ignorance. And at this moment, the three kinds of discernment cannot enter. So other than focusing on the third eye, all the other deities and mandalas, rebirth and nirvana, they are all stopped. And this is called the dharma nature of abandoning schemes and attachments. And this is not using the abandonment and to decide on the non-arising dharma nature. It doesn't also come from the self-nature purity that comes from the innate purity, but it appears from the non-discernment that arise from the spiritual experiences of a yogi. So the two kinds of discernments that comes from abandoning the ignorance and also the scheming and attachment, it is established at the existential dharma and dharma nature. So how do you feel listening to this, all Dharma masters and Dharma educators? Actually, let me tell you, if you don't go through meditation, it's impossible for you to understand what is spoken here. First, it starts from the existential dharma and all the way to non-dharma, where dharma doesn't exist. So in meditation, it starts from existence. Like in Hinduism, yoga is popular. It's called Kriya Yoga. In India, it's called the Kriya Yoga. So yoga is meditation, is concentration. I've taught meditation, Chan or Zen is being uninfluenced or unaffected by all circumstances. And Ting or meditative stability is concentration. Only those that are unaffected by any external circumstances can be called Mahasiddha. Only those that are totally focused and in concentration can be called Mahasiddhas. In Amitabha Sutra, it's mentioned that by chanting the Buddha's name in full concentration, then you can go to the Buddha lands, and that is the hardest. Unaffected by any external circumstances at all. Whether they praise you, you're unaffected. And if they pressure you or push you down, you're unaffected. Only they are called sages. And if a sage is seated on a Dharma throne, they have the spirit of unaffected, of being unaffected. And they have no fear whatsoever. It doesn't matter how they slander you. If your mind or your heart is not stable, then you would be blown apart. And how could you be called a sage? So just a few words, they would beat you down. Or a position, a certain kind of status, position, money, they would topple you. Then you're affected. But Grandmaster is unaffected. I follow what I wishes without fear. Confucius said, I do as my heart wishes, but I don't trespass the rules, the precepts. My mind and heart has total mastery, unaffected by external circumstances, and unaffected by beauty or ugliness, by any duality. Do you know what the utmost consciousness is? It's not relative. What is antithetical or diametrical? It's like good and bad, right and wrong, beauty and ugliness, heavens and earth, heavens and hell, or high peaks and deep valleys, man and woman, beautiful and ugly, good and evil, they're all diametrical or dualistic. But the utmost consciousness is not dualistic, it is the absolute. If you can be enlightened to this absoluteness, then you would become a sage. And in order to be in full concentration, then you have to rely on meditation. It talks about meditation here. 3 kinds of realization of the natures. It starts from the realms that arises from the nature of self to non-discernment. And what is this non-discernment or no difference? This is very important. And the Dharma that is practiced and maintained are the body mandala that are relied on visualization. So you have to visualize the body mandala, and your body is the body mandala. You enter into your own bodies, and your self-nature will manifest to become luminosity. And the mind Vajram Palace at your heart chakra, that's the deity's mandala. That's Akshobha Buddha at your heart chakra. You have to especially visualize his look and image. And then especially on the third eye, the red brightness. So from the heart to the brow point, or the divine eye, or third eye. So the brow point is at the place of the third eye. So from the heart to the third eye, there's a line, and you visualize the third eye. At first, there would be smoke appearing.
Oh, 他这双印体性见里面有提到烟，从你的眼睛看到烟。
So the realization of the dual execution, it talks about smoke. And from your eyes, you would be able to see the sunlight or sun rays. And then you see the Tathagatas or the Buddhas. Only this called the true seeing. It has to be in meditation or samadhi, things that you can only see in meditation. This is very important. See the smoke, the rays of the sun, and Tathagata. What was just spoken, the third eye and the mind Heruka at the heart chakra, body mandala, and the mouth, who doesn't recite the mantra anymore. You use your mind. First you visualize, and gradually smoke appears, the sun rays appears, and finally the Tathagata appears inside the light. And in Tantrayana we say, first the third eye has to see the light of the light drops. And then you see the Vajra chain. When the light of the light drops appear, 1 or 2 or 3 lights, 4 and more, and then you chain them together to become Vajra chain. And from the Vajra chains, they all become Vajra screen. And then all brightness, and then the Tathagata appears. And here, it talks about how to practice your body mandala. And after you achieve that, you use the mind of the body mandala and you connect it with your third eye. And from your third eye, first you see the light of the light drops, and then the connection or the chain of the lights of the light drops, and then you see just all brightness, and then from this brightness the utmost consciousness, which is the Tathagata, appears. So you need to do it from this. But you have to do it in meditation, and you have to have the methods to do it. And Grandmaster has taught you to first perform the 9-cycle Buddha breathing in order to learn concentration, to perform the Vajra chanting, so that the Sanskrit syllables can enter into your body and dwell inside your body before it exits. And then you perform the treasure vase energy yoga to ignite the fire in order to see the smoke, the sun rays, and then Tathagatas. So the sun rays actually is the prajna light. And Tathagatas are the Tathagatas that appear from the Vajra screen. People without the real experience, the personal experiences, will not be able to explain this excerpt. But Grandmaster does, so therefore Grandmaster can explain it well. Grandmaster cannot talk to animals because that's the realm of the animals. Only one person that can communicate with the animals, and she's just like an animal. And she's XX. She can talk to the spider, to the ants, to the flies, to the dead duck, to crabs. Can the crabs teach you Buddha Dharma? Can the animals teach you Buddha Dharma? No. Animals are for us to deliver. Why? What use is there talking to them? It's meaningless. It's utterly meaningless. So X could communicate to animals, but that's meaningless. You want to have dialogues with Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, to Saraswati, to the Heavenly Mother, to the Buddha, and she's able to do that too. But how? Because she could communicate to the ghost, and ghost transform themselves to become like Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and she wrongly believed them. And then she said one thing. She said that she had delivered someone to the Western paradise. For what? And she said that now she is sweeping the floor of the Western paradise. That's totally nonsense, because there was no dust in the Western paradise, no PM 2.5. It's a completely meticulous place. And she said that she delivered someone, and that person is now sweeping the floor at the Western paradise. You know, she went to the Yibao Lechang temple in Malaysia. And then she said that that was told to me by Dharma Sister Rebecca Shiachi. And then she was talking to this animal and that animal at the Yibao Lechang temple in Malaysia. And one of the directors stood up and told the master, we are here to listen to your Buddha Dharma teaching, not to listen to you talking to animals. Could you just talk about Buddha Dharma instead? And X was dumbfounded. Someone spoke like that to me? So she wanted to retaliate, and she called on the ghost. And this director got into an accident soon afterwards. And there was a wheel that squished his head, and the brain was squeezed out on the ground. So she killed this person. But that person was not wrong. What use is talking to this and that animals? Can the animals teach you Buddha Dharma? So in your studies, you want to study the authentic, the true Dharma. Like Grandmaster said earlier, about the third eye, to discard the ignorance. So once you have the third eye or divine eye, then you can eliminate the ignorance. So greed, anger, and ignorance. Greed is for the money, fame, status, food, and sleep. Anger is you lose your temper for no reasons, and ignorance and foolishness that exists in all of us, and you need to discard them. So if you can appear, your divine eye appears, then you can stop your thoughts. Your thoughts are like river flow, like waterfalls. It is non-stop. It continues to flow, your thoughts. When you are in meditation, you can stop all the flows, which means all the thoughts. So you can stop all of your own thoughts. When you can do so, only then the brightness will appear in front of your divine or third eye, the prajna lights, the Vajra chain, and the Vajra screen, and Tathagata. And only that kind of seeing is the true seeing, but not the fake seeing of the ghosts and gods. The Dharma nature that's non-arising can only be spoken by the enlightened ones. So it's not coming from the innate purity of the self-nature, pure Dharma nature, but it appears from the lucidity, the lucid consciousness, from the non-discerning spiritual experiences of a yogi. Only this is the true seeing. Things that you see in your dreams, things that you see with your physical eyes now, and seeing that you have in meditation, the true seeing has to be in meditation. And ultimately, you can also see without meditation. And only this kind of seeings is called the true seeing. So all the explanations here are about this. Let me share a few jokes. This is test. So, open book test or exam. So the examiner is walking back and forth, and he saw a student that was still placing the book on his laps and copying secretly. And the teacher couldn't stand it and approached him and asked, "Why don't you just copy and place the book on the desk? Aren't you tired doing it this way?" But the student replied, "Oh, I'm used to it." This is called the habitual tendencies. See, you haven't break your habitual tendencies. Even when you're allowed to copy openly, you still want to do it and place the book on your laps. So every one of us has habitual tendencies, and we have to break those habits. You cannot say that, "Oh, it's my habits." If you cannot break your habits or habitual tendencies, then it's impossible for you to become a sage, a saint, or a yogi. One day, a colleague got off work and waiting on the bus, and when I looked back, there was someone selling fruits. He wanted to buy some fruits for his mom and approached the peddler and asked, "How do you sell it?" Everybody became quiet, and there was a lady that said, "Miss, this is our worship table." What does this mean? Have you seen clearly? People are praying, they are not selling fruits. And yet you want to buy fruits. You go to the wrong place. You want to buy fruits at the fruit peddler, not from someone who's praying. So you need to see clearly. For everything, you want to be able to see clearly in order to speak truthfully. In meditation, when you have true seeing, you shouldn't be afraid of anything. What are you afraid of? Once you have the true seeing, you have nothing to be afraid of. Once you master meditation, then you're not influenced or affected by any external circumstances, like ghost. If you're affected by the ghost, that means you have not entered into Zen, that you're still chaotic. That means you still don't have any meditative stability. Because once you have the stability, you're in full concentration. Because Grandmaster has Chanting, has Zen and meditative stability. That's why Grandmaster is not afraid of anything. Moreover, the ghost of X. So please see clearly that X is the witch of ghost. She employs lots of ghosts. So see clearly, she's being used by the ghost. She's deluded or disillusioned by the ghost. Someone was riding on a bicycle and hit a pedestrian carelessly. So you're very lucky today. And the pedestrian was very angry. You hit me and you said I'm lucky? You know, because today I'm off work. That's why I ride the bicycle. Usually I ride the truck.
这个笑话有什么启示呢？
So,
慧金起来讲。
what insight do you get from
你
this
是说
joke?
书的啊。
Hui Jin,
有什么启示？你起来讲。
please say something.
会吗？会就会，不会就不会。
Because you
脑筋急转弯。
talk about books, so do you have it or not? It's a
不会。
riddle. And she replied, I
这
cannot
个就是
say
比
anything.
价。我们不是讲嘛，有3个，一个是质量，一个是比量，
Oh.
一个是圣言
So
量。
we say about 3 pramanas. One is
单车创道
comparison
跟
by
沙石车创道
self-knowledge, comparison
是
by
不一样。
knowledge by others, and then comparison
对不对？
from the words
运
of the
气好，你
sages.
就是给单车创道。
So
运
if
气
you're
不好，
lucky,
你就给
you're
沙
being
石车
hit
创
by
道。
a bicycle. If you have bad
更好
luck,
的
then
运
you
气
would
是
be
说，
hit
是
by
没
a
有一部车可以创道，
sand truck.
任何车都不
And
创道。
if you're luckier, then you're not being hit by
那就是
anything.
更好的运气。这个就是要比量。
So
你有
that's
智慧的，马上就可以知道，这就是比量。
logic by comparison. If you have wisdom, then you would know.
慧经说法，对，你将来你每天说书啊，
So
你要懂得
you
这个方法。
explain
什
the
么是
books
质量？
every day, so
什
you
么
need
是
to
比量？
understand this.
什么是
What
圣
is
言量？
the logic
你
by
要懂得。
self-knowledge, and what is the logic by comparison, and logic by
专家讲，
the words of the sages? You
牛
need to
奶
know.
令人强壮，
The experts say
但是
that
你
milk
喝了5
can
杯牛
strengthen
奶
you,
去推墙，墙会动吗？
but by drinking 5 glasses of
当然是
milk,
推不
can
动
you
的。
topple the wall by pushing
但
it?
是你
Of
假
course
如
not.
喝下5杯的高粱，
But if you
8杯的，
drink 5
你
huge
墙
glasses
自己
of
就
the
会走。
sorghum wine, you don't need to push the wall. The wall would walk by itself, walk away by itself.
只是讲什么是清醒，
So this is
什么是
talking
罪？
about
你
being
学
awake
佛
and being drunk.
就是清醒，
And
你
if
学
you
鬼
study
就
Buddhism,
是罪。
then you are
我们
being
被动。
awake. But if you study the ghost, then you're being drunk.